Now we will see how to deploy the application. That is to say, run a smart device application in production mode and publish it. So far, we've mentioned the application we developed for an event, which is part of an enterprise application and allows performing certain back-end tasks in the smart device, such as adding, deleting, and changing the event's details. These applications are called line of business applications. In addition, an important market for mobile applications is that of personal use apps, which are called consumer apps. When we develop a smart device application, we usually deploy it or publish it in the online stores offered by the various platforms. However, many enterprise applications cannot be published in virtual stores, because they must only be accessible to the company's members and not just to any user. In this case, the application has to be available in one of the company's internal servers, which must be accessible over the internet. In general, enterprise applications are deployed on a company private server, which must be accessible via Wi-Fi. That's why the cloud is one of the possible options, as we've said before. When generating the application in GeneXus, the REST services are also copied to the server in addition to the web application. If the application is an Android application, the compiled native application, APK, is also copied to be later distributed to the final device. In this way, the smart device application can be installed on the devices and run by accessing the REST services stored in the enterprise server. These services will access the enterprise database data. GeneXus also makes it easier to deploy applications that require a proprietary server. That is to say, when the GeneXus cloud is not used to deploy them. With GeneXus, a user can purchase cloud services from providers such as Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Windows Azure, or IBM Bluemix, in order to deploy his or her private application in one of these clouds, and provide access to the application's users only. By pressing F6, GeneXus will automatically deploy the app to the cloud server configured, simplifying the process. Once they are generated, the APK or IPA files are generally saved in one of the company's local servers to be later installed on each device. Now, let's consider the case when we decide to publish the application in the virtual stores available, which are Google Play for Android applications and Apple Store for iOS. Basically, virtual stores are application catalogs, where users can browse and download them from their devices. Applications are categorized to simplify the search. In addition, the stores implement ranking mechanisms based on the number of downloads and user preferences. Some applications are free and others are paid. Certain criteria can be used to set filters that restrict searches. For example, in settings, it's possible to indicate that a password must be provided. These stores give the smart device application developer many advantages, including access to a large number of users, because this market is continuously expanding. They implement payments for applications. They provide mechanisms to send notifications to users when applications are updated. And they allow obtaining statistics about the number of downloads of an application, the devices on which it was installed, and more. In a way, they make development for smart devices more democratic, because any developer can publish an app with the same opportunities as everyone else. There are 3 steps required to publish an app in a virtual store, and they are registration in the website to publish the app, preparation of the necessary material, and the publication itself. The first stage is registration, which requires being registered with the stores in order to upload and publish applications for smart devices. The links to register with Google and Apple in order to upload Android and iOS apps are displayed on the screen. The second stage is the preparation of the app. That is to say, following certain steps necessary for the app to be successful. These steps include reading the guidelines provided by the stores about various topics to prevent the application from being rejected, signing the compiled package corresponding to the app, as we've seen before, obtaining the necessary resources, such as images, icons, screen captures, and so on, that will be requested when publishing the app, and finally, versioning the application. This implies using a version number and incrementing it depending on whether it's the first version or an update. In GeneXus, we use properties to manage application versioning automatically. Depending on the version numbering we use, they will only be updates, minor changes, or replacements of the entire application, major changes. If a new version involves a minor change, such as a change in the events, or something that doesn't affect the database, it's not necessary to publish or have the application approved again. It only needs to be updated in the devices on which it has been installed. In this case, we change the digit to the right of the dot. GeneXus will understand it's a minor change, so it will only update the metadata. If we make a major change, such as a modification to the services or the database, we need to install a new version. That is to say, install a new application package. In this case, we need to change the number to the left of the dot so that it automatically runs the process to update the application. The user is notified of this situation with messages that are sent when the application is run. The last stage is the publication of the app in each virtual store. When accessing the website, first you need to authenticate with the corresponding account. Next, upload the application package, enter a price if it's a paid application, and provide all the required information mentioned in the preparation stage. Lastly, you need to wait for the application to be approved so that it's online and available for download from the corresponding websites. This period is important because in some cases, especially in Apple's website, the application authorization may take a couple of weeks. That's why we need to take this into account in our development cycle. Finally, Google Analytics is a service offered by Google to provide statistics about the app's use. For smart device applications, the information provided can be useful to improve an app's user interface by discovering what screens are most frequently accessed, who the app's users are, or what devices they use. To enable it, first you need to be registered with Google. Then in GeneXus, configure the Enable Analytics property of the app's main object and configure the tracker ID, which allows tracking this application. This has been all about prototyping and the deployment of smart device applications. Let's move on to the other chapters in this course.